Hello there, good evening, and thank you so much for joining us on Jazz Live. It's wonderful to be here once again. I know we are all looking at and having to experience these harrowing economic experiences and challenges. Some of us can no longer afford most of the things we used to afford. I know Nigerians are very resilient. That's a word that's used very loosely lately to talk about how much we just try to handle these issues. It seems like the federal government bring policies that adversely affect our living, and we shrug and move right on. Those who have been calling for protests, a lot of people have said the protests didn't work. If anything, it showed our ineptitude. It showed that our leverage is not leveraging, like a lot of Nigerians will say in local parlors. Our leverage is not strong enough to hold government to ransom, like we thought. Oh, shut down the economy and all that. As a matter of fact, I think a lot of people believe that it's because of the just concluded protest that federal government is brazen enough to increase fuel prices to 895 or 897, depending on where you go. That's on NNPC fuel stations. Actually, if you move away from the NNPC fuel stations, you can buy as much as 1,100, 1,200, like reports have had it. This has caused so much hardship. We read earlier that the president is making moves to address the fuel price hike and scarcity. There's unconfirmed reports that the NNPC gave a statement that, well, we can do something about the scarcity. We can ensure that the fuel is not scarce, but we may not be able to do much about the price hike. And some of us are wondering, if you do nothing about the price hike, are you the subsidy, the entire subsidy we've been talking about, are you going to subsidize a movement just to ensure that Nigerians who were already suffering, getting to work, would have some respite? A lot of you now have to pay everything you have in transportation. If minimum wage, let's do the math, if minimum wage is at 70,000 naira at the moment, and you have to pay 2,000 naira to work, like I've heard some people say, how then do you survive in 30 days? That's already 60,000. Yes, just for a moment believe you're not going to feed, and you're not going to you wouldn't need shelter, you wouldn't need any other thing to survive. You would literally be spending everything on transport. And then when you bring this conversation, they tell you, but there's consequential adjustment, which means that, oh, nobody really is on minimum wage in the federal government payroll. You are either on level 1 or 2 and all of that, and so there's consequential adjustment that would ensure that. But well, you know what, let's just take this call to have conversations, because like I said, we want to have a dialogue on this issue. Hello there, good evening, thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
My name is John.
Okay, please go ahead. Can you move away so that we can have a proper conversation, or just turn it down?
Okay. I would like the president to be fast about the price of the fuel.
To do something about the price of the fuel?
Yes.
Okay. How is it for you, before I let you go, how is it for you back there in terms of movement and in terms of commodities and services that you usually will pay a certain amount for?
From here to Oshodi right now, 1,500 naira. Here there are a lot of cars.
Wow. And there's fuel scarcity in spite of the hike, and that's what Nigerians are saying. John, thank you so much for reaching us and giving us the update from Oshodi, or from Lagos really. It's harrowing for the rest of us. Thank you for calling.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. This is just one of many experiences Nigerians are facing when it comes to moving around these days. It's bad enough that motorists have to buy at such an exorbitant prices, but what then happens when you go to fuel stations? You see long queues, you spend productive hours in these queues, and you ask yourself, which way Nigeria? I know that should you bring the issue of pricing, especially in Africa, a lot of people will come and give you compare rather with neighboring African countries where the prices of petrol is so expensive. Well, as expensive as it is, are they suffering insecurity as well? What have you put in place to ensure that the shocks of it is not too much? Are there transportation systems, network that are better? Do they have the kind of roads that we have? Are they really going through these harrowing experiences? So there's so much that has to be in place before we start talking about how, oh yes, in other countries it's easy, you pay so much for fuel and all that. In spite of all this, there's the bleak, I don't want to call it prophecy, but there's this bleak projection that fuel might soon get to 2,000 naira and maybe above. Can we survive that? With the food scarcity that we're talking about, remember that a lot of people suffered flood issues in the past year, which has affected the output for this year. A lot of people that's not news, that they've been unable to go to their farmlands. I read in the news today that a certain community in Niger state is telling you that, listen, bandits are forcing us to work in their farmlands, So you're not even going to your own farmland. Bandits are forcing you to work there. If you do not, there are consequences as well. So there are fundamental issues that has to be in place before we can come out and tell you how, yes, in other countries fuel is more expensive, there's nothing like subsidy and all, but is transportation easier? Have we talked about the other countries where we have trains working? In those countries that fuel is very high, they have alternatives. They have trains working. They have a more coordinated bus transport system that makes it very easy for movement. And so they have silos for their agricultural product. And so when you do farm, you don't suffer wastage. You're a businessman, be it in agriculture or otherwise. And so when you do go to farm and you cannot recoup what you have put in, chances are you would increase the prices of your commodities or crops or harvest. So that's how it goes. It is not rocket science. And in the agricultural sector, we're talking about drought, we're talking about flood just a couple of days ago. And I remember having the conversation where one of our guests was telling us that indeed we could have proper irrigation plants if only there are dams that capture this water, and in dry season, in seasons where it's no longer raining as much, we could have proper irrigation for these dams to now be used to water the plants. It happens all over the world. Why is it always rocket science or seemingly impossible when it comes to us, the innovations that we can give? Why also is it that when we leave the shores of the country and go to other parts of the world, this innovation, we blossom with ideas that makes us stand out? Why? And so the question is always to the government. And when the president today was talking about working to ensure fuel availability, we are not sure yet about price stability of PMS. A lot of Nigerians are now asking, is this because Dangote has accepted that he's able to now process fuel? Now he has fuel, he has processed crude. Well, that's story for another day. Has Dangote's announcement made it worse or not? I mean, when the NNPCL released their audited accounts, it seemed like they made a lot of money, and then the very next thing we heard that they are owing in billions to oil marketers, and then the increase in fear. When you ask NNPCL, they tell you, well, we had told you according to the PIA, that's the Petroleum Industry Act, that of course you would see market forces determine the prices of fuel, and that's what is playing out. Market forces determining the prices of fuel, when we have also heard, when we also know the uniform price we've been buying for. I mean, it's just not working. But this is where we would go for a short break and close this conversation. When we return, it will be time to discuss peace, achieving peace, especially in the Niger Delta, and my guests will be talking all about that. We'll be back shortly.
While wrapping up the day, unwind with the reminiscence of the day's news from home and abroad with Kaftan TV 7 p.m. News.
Good to have you join us on Kaftan News at 7.
Nigerians are living in up to 5%. Our young people repurpose the Harmony Symphony.
It's good to have you join us on Kaftan TV News at 7.
What we found is that this 10 naira tax is not actually sufficient.
National, foreign news headlines. Get balanced, accurate facts on the latest news in business, politics, entertainment, sports, and more. Live from our studios.
Many thanks for watching, and join us again at 9
Kaftan
p.m.
TV
Bye.
News. While wrapping up the day, unwind with the reminiscence of the day's news from home and abroad with Kaftan TV 7 p.m. News.
Good to have you join us on Kaftan News at 7.
Nigerians are living in up to 5%. Our young people repurpose the Harmony Symphony.
It's good to have you join us on Kaftan TV News at 7.
What we found is that this 10 naira tax is not actually sufficient.
National, foreign news headlines. Get balanced, accurate facts on the latest news in business, politics, entertainment, sports, and more. Live from our studios.
Many thanks for watching, and join us again at 9
Kaftan
p.m.
TV
Bye.
News. While wrapping up the day, unwind with the reminiscence of the day's news from home and abroad with Kaftan TV 7 p.m. News.
Good to have you join us on Kaftan News at 7.
Nigerians are living in up to 5%. Our young people repurpose the Harmony.
Yes, there is news on your device, but hearing an analyst's perspective is the icing on the cake that Daily Break Africa provides. Break. I mean, start your day with prompt analysis of the latest news, trends,
And then you see these people, they're so agile, they can do
politics,
We have to go back to that regional system. That is the foundation of this country, for God's sake.
entertainment, fashion, culinary skills,
So first I'm going to be pouring the oil inside the pot and I will...
religious and cultural events amongst others on Daybreak Africa. For a rich mix of analysis on current issues, tune in daily from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on channel 480 and 124 on Star Times. Yes, there is news on your device, but hearing an analyst's perspective is the icing on the cake that Daybreak Africa provides. Start your day with prompt analysis of the latest news, trends,
I mean, you see these people, they're so agile, they can
politics,
We have to go back to that regional system. That is the foundation of this country, for God's sake.
entertainment, fashion, culinary skills,
So first I'm going to be pouring the oil inside the pot and I will...
religious and cultural events amongst others on Daybreak Africa. For a rich mix of analysis on current issues, tune in daily from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on channel 480 and 124 on Star Times.
While wrapping up the day, unwind with the reminiscence of the day's news from home and abroad with Kaftan TV 7 p.m. news.
Good to have you join us on Kaftan News at 7.
Nigerians are living in 5%. Are young people repurpose the Harmony Symphony.
It's good.
Welcome back from that, and thank you so much for staying with Joy Asanye Live. Like I told you, it's time to move on from that conversation we were having earlier to discuss peace. And today we'll be discussing achieving peace, especially among youth in the Niger Delta. For some of us who have been following the news, it's been seeming like there's so much agitation, especially from Rivers State. But that's not all of it. We're trying to now broaden it up and say, how can we ensure peace in that region that, you know, is very important to Nigeria's GDP. You all know why. In the studio to discuss all of this, achieving peace in the Niger Delta so that we can have this national development and foster growth among young people, is Comrade Adams Ogomugo Marbo. He is the head of Peace Building and Conflict Resolution Unit of the Presidential Amnesty Program. Thank you so much for being part of the program.
Thank you. God bless you.
Well, it's wonderful to have you here. I mean, you've been walking around the peace building of the Niger Delta. First of all, congratulations on that appointment. It's recently that you were given that. How has it been since you emerged head of the unit?
Well, thank you, my friend, my good friend Joy. And you know, when people talk about peace, you know, peace is priceless. And like what you said, we are continuously working for peace, most especially in the Niger Delta region. you all know that when there is no peace, there is no development.
Exactly.
And that is why Niger Delta becomes so prominent in the Committee of Nations. As far as Nigeria is concerned, Niger Delta region is very important. The peace in Niger Delta region is very important, because as it is, Niger Delta region is the only economic stay in the Nigeria, as far as we like it or not. Most especially the 9 states in the Niger Delta, from Abia State to Imo, to Cross River, to Rivers, to Akwa Ibom, to Bayelsa, Delta, Edo, Ondo. These 9 states are the economic base in the country. And when you talk about peace, all of us, you are aware, in time goes on, how the Niger Delta region becomes so part of every newspapers in the country.
Exactly.
Every newspaper, everybody is talking about Niger Delta youth restiveness. You know, most time we also look at some of the critical issues in Niger Delta, issues like the environmental degradation, oil
spillage,
and in fact gas flay and oil spillage, you know, and the activities of the international oil companies, you know, these transnational oil companies, the IOC. You know, all of those issues are issues that on ground before this, the relative peace we are enjoying today. Because the people of Niger Delta unanimously, most especially the youth, the critical stakeholders, the elders, they agree that let there be peace. Let's give peace a chance, because it is only when there is peace, development can come. You know, when the time of even the agitation for the Niger Delta region before the blessed memory of late President Musa Yar'Adua came aboard and look at the issues of Niger Delta, what can it do? Why the Niger Delta youth are always carrying out actions against the government? You know, all of those issues, and even the youth at that time ready to give peace a chance, because they have given the
tried violence,
yes,
and it didn't work, right?
About what they want, how did they want it, and that was where even the Ministry of Niger Delta Development was established. Then it was Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs, but today it has been named, has been changed to Ministry of Niger Delta Development by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Ahmed Bola Tinubu administration, including the Presidential Amnesty Program, which was also established in year 2009 by late President Musa Yar'Adua. The excess of peace we are talking about is for the economic growth and development in the country, Nigeria. So you and I know very well that all these years from 2009 to this year, 2024, almost 15 and some years, people of Niger Delta has been continuing to work hard to make sure there is peace, there is unity in the Niger Delta region. So if you can look what we can see, when you ask a question about what do we do, it is because of our works, our activities to make sure we engage the critical stakeholders, most especially the office which I'm handling today. I'm the head of peace building and conflict resolution and stakeholders management. So we have to manage the stakeholders, because the stakeholders, they are the one who understand the terrain, and you can see the environment. There is relative peace in the Niger Delta.
There is relative peace, but still talking about the environmental degradation. You know that above everything, I'm not here to absolve the IOCs in the activities they do and the attendant consequence to our environment, but it wasn't with illegal refining that has been going on in the region. And it breaks my heart every time when you see young people arrested or for bunkering. You see them because of illegal refining still going on. And like we had this conversation before you came on air, we talked about the impact or rather lack of impact that several initiatives that was supposed to clean up the environment in the Niger Delta. It's supposed to empower young people in the Niger Delta from proceeds from that the fact that it's an oil-rich region. We don't see the impact of it. So while you come have these conversations of peace with the stakeholders, I mean the young people and all stakeholders within the region, do they confront you with these issues of, it is because there is still unemployment, that we still have to rely on oil bunkering. We can no longer go to our farms because of the environmental consequence of what they've been doing. Do you get confronted with these issues?
Yes, there are a lot of issues. You know, the area that we try to engage them is that because there is no job, and that is why they involved in oil bunkering. But we are also make them to understand that this illegal bunkering, that these activities you are carrying out also bastardize the environment, which we accuse the IOC for. As a local indigenous of the place, you carry out your illegal bunkerings, the same gas flame, the smoke that move around the illegal
bunkering. It makes it even worse than what the IOCs are doing.
Of what is the floating of the crude oil also affect the environment. So we also make them understand that, yes, because of no job cannot also make you to destroy your own environment. Because this environment need to be cleaned up, and you cannot contribute to the part of destroying the environment. So there are other things that you youth can do to survive. And aside of that, that was where federal government can also be engaging to make sure that there is modular refinery. This modular refinery, those local indigenous who are operating in the illegal bunkering should be incorporated to the modular refinery so that they can also exercise this talent they have. Because it is not easy for local dreams to go to the creek, set up their own cooking and burning. That normally they call it cooking and burning. And at the same time, this burning, the smoke are also causing a lot of hazard into the life of the people of Niger Delta. So that was where we make them understand, look, these issues of there is no job cannot precipitate you to carry out this illegal bunkering to also to destroy your own environment. Because one thing I always told my brothers from the Niger Delta region is that environmental degradation is there by the IOC. But that does not mean that we also going to contribute part of the destruction of the environment. Because we must protect our environment. Because if our environment is not protected, then we have no future. Our environment is our future. So when some of them listen to us with this valid point of argument, they now said it's true. So they look at the work the Tantita security is doing.
He's doing, exactly.
Whereby you can see
maybe even doing more than security agencies.
Most time they point out to the local refinery that as if they are the only people who were involved in oil bunkering. And at the end, when the people that is involved in Tantita security also investigate and find out that there are some people who are illegally carrying the oil from those cargo ship and others. So that will tell you that inside the illegal bunkering, there are other international, let me see, other characters of peoples who also drill this oil.
Some of them in high places.
That's what we are saying.
But so is it? But are you in your engagement with this? Because I can imagine this is something they've always known. Now you're gathering youth and telling them, you know what? Let's do away with this. Let's look at how you can be legal in what you do. Let's coincide and come up with what affects you so that we bring it to government. Is it often hostile? I can imagine that this is all we know.
But you know that as you tease, even the illegal bunkering we are talking about, it has come to a minimal way. Because since the approval of this Tantita security to Aishi government, Owejide Ekpempolo, you can see a lot of youth has been engaged in that Tantita security, and they are all getting paid, and they are all working for the peace and security, secure the oil installation. So it's not like before that somebody will be idle, then begin to go ahead and begin to destroy oil pipeline and then take the crude oil to refine it or illegally to make use of it to make money. As you can look at it, the work of Tantita has created a lot of opportunity, in fact, job opportunity, a great job opportunity for most of our youth. And if you can see, that's why I said, you look at what is going on in Niger Delta, there is relative peace. And that's why you can see that we always constantly to engage them, also to make them to understand the disadvantage of this illegal bunkering. Not just the money you need for, but what about your life?
Exactly.
Will you make money and die after you are make money, and then the kind of activities you created in the environment cause your early death?
Exactly.
Then what money are you looking for? So you must be stay alive and to look for a way to make money. So these are the characters of people. We begin to talk to them, through constant engagement from the youth, proper orientations, At the end, some of them realize that it's true, because it's the same we from Niger Delta. when you are talking to your brother and he knows you are also from Niger Delta, it will be very easy that external forces.
Exactly.
This is called internal interactive section.
Right.
We discuss as internally because it is
like
our
my
own
brother. I mean, if I'm talking about it, you know that it affects you and I. So you are not seen as a visitor who does not understand the peculiarities of the problem.
So because they know that you are also from the place, they are also from the place, and you are telling them this is the disadvantage of what you are doing, and they also look at it because our age mothers, our grandfathers, our brothers and sisters who always doing their work in the riverine community, like most especially the George, the Shekiri, the Robos, and some other Calabar people and others who are fishermen. If the water is being destroyed, how can we carry out this occupation? Exactly. Our occupation is fishing. But like the Yoruba and others, they are farming and others. Most especially in Niger Delta, most of our occupation relies on farming and fishing. So if the river is being polluted and being destroyed, and the aquatic animals are having issues, and the water has been destroyed, and some of the community, they also drank from the water. So they don't have pipe-borne water where other people are enjoying some social amenities or facilities. They're not there. So if you destroy the river and the oil is floating, those who take the water to drink also being affected by the crude.
Right, exactly.
So when all of those area valued points has been given to them, they now said yes, it's true.
Yes, but don't you see it as sometimes it is also perceived as double standards? Some of this oil is not just in that small capacity of those young boys who are trying to refine illegally. They are stolen. They watch it. They're stolen in millions of barrels, and they watch people who can afford it, because those ones cannot afford much. They want people who can afford it take millions of barrels out of there, but you're attacking the illegal refinery. So isn't it double standard sort of?
But when you say double standard, if you look at based on some of the things we have been reviewed from different places, different interactions, the one who did illegal bunkering, the aspect of the way they carry out this illegal bunkering is also different from the other people.
True.
The other one, they use their cargo ship,
right?
Their cargo ship to drill the oil, and this other one, they drill the oil, they burn it through local way. You can see now,
right?
And this one,
you are looking at the impact on the environment.
The environment. Our own is that you guys should not destroy your own environment because you want to make money. So the best way to do is to constantly engage the state government, the local government, and the federal government.
I like where you have taken the conversation, because that's where I want us to go.
The local government,
right,
the state government, and the federal government to able to fulfill the part of modular refinery. When that modular refinery is there, these local champions can be able to incorporate it into the system. They are now working for federal government. For instance, now look at the way Tantita Security
is doing his job, right?
Enlisted a lot of Niger Delta unemployed youth. Today they have job. They are not idle. When you are idle, there are a lot of things come to your head. But now, as it is, they are being engaged by the God wisdom of High Chief Government Owejide Tompolo, who happened to be the chairman of the Tantita Security, that able to realize that what our people need is job employment. So he used most of his employees are local employee.
Right.
He did not bring people from foreigner from other places. He took people from within the communities.
The community, right.
So if the indigenous peoples are being carried along in such operation, I think that aspect of being idle to carry out illegal bunkering will drastically reduce.
Right.
And that is what is happening. And now what is important here, that if Tompolo can able to use his own Tantita Security Force to enlist people to create job opportunities for millions of youth across the Niger Delta state, and then federal government can also use that opportunity to come up with this modular refinery and fulfill it, so that they can also to employ others to be part. Then you can see job opportunity will be all over everywhere, including the refinery we are also talking about. If you do to refinery, maybe for Eastern Port Harcourt refinery and Warri refinery, all of the refinery can be able to put in the proper operation.
And mitigate the issues we are facing.
You also reduce that issues of what people are talking about. So I think the most important part here is some of us we are thinking about local engagement, not foreigners, not externals. Let it be internal. I think you can look very well now what is happening in Niger Delta. Everywhere is peaceful compared to what is happening in the whole country.
Right.
Niger Delta is peaceful. And the only thing the people are talking about today is the IPAB. This Ogoni cleanup. You understand? These are all federal government's interventions, processes to bring down most of the agitation in Niger Delta. So if you look at it, what is going on, the peace we are talking about, if there is no peace in Niger Delta, the oil will not flow.
True.
Today, the oil production is very high, unlike before. So which shows that the people in Niger Delta really stand for the peace.
Right.
They have maintained the peace. They have sustained that peace. That peace of sustainability is what also making economic sustainability and at the same time political sustainability in Nigeria. Because if the economic is not stable, the political system will not
be stable. Exactly.
But they need the economy to drive the system of the political agenda.
Well, you're right about that, but let's talk about this engagement. I know that way before you got disappointments, you've been engaging with the Niger Delta youth. You've even done several tours across the state in the Niger Delta. What would you say is the biggest challenge when you want to do these negotiations and engagements, like you call it, internal engagements, right?
You know, in time past when I was the chairman of the Joint Council,
FCT
Abuja, northern part of Nigeria.
Right.
Not only FCT.
Okay, I was
a former national deputy director of mobilization, IYC worldwide.
Right. Okay.
Later, I become the chairman of the Joint Council, IYC Abuja, northern part of Nigeria.
Okay.
Inside there, I was also appointed to be the secretary to the zones and chapters of the Joint Council, IYC worldwide. Also former as a chief of staff to the former president of the Joint Council, acting president worldwide. And also I'm also a national president in our own part of organization that cut across Niger Delta as Niger Delta Progressive Youth Leadership Foundation. And this is where we completed all state youth across from the Akwa Ibom. We have the chapter in Akwa Ibom. We have the chapter in Abia and Imo. We have the chapter in River State. We also have the chapter in Bayelsa, Delta, Edo, and Ondo, as well as we carry out a Niger Delta Youth Peace Summit. That was year 2018 in Akwa Ibom State, where all of the Akwa Ibom critical stakeholders were youth, most especially among the local government areas in Akwa Ibom State was also part. Other state delegates also came in Akwa Ibom. And the same things we want to do now. Because these are part of the things we can use to enlighten our people, educating them, making them to understand that this is the way to go. Because in leadership, you must tell people where to go. You must be strategic in terms of decision making.
So you don't just think that they know where to go.
No,
you must
show you are telling them to show them the route. This is the best way to go.
Right.
If you follow here, this is the outcome of the result. Because we believe in the leadership of bringing out productive and effective result. And you can see is that result today that also led to my appointment today.
Yes, but we'll get to that conversation the 1st of November peace, the Niger Delta Peace Summit. But I really would like you to address the issue of the challenges you face in ensuring engagement, because in the course of your conversation, you have talked about ensuring youth should put themselves together to engage with their local government chairman, to engage with their governors and all of that. But I'm sure it is not a walk in the park. It's not like just coming there to say, you know what, I have this issue, address it already. You who have worked with young people in the Niger Delta region, especially in ensuring peace, what would you say the challenges are?
You think our people, let me tell you, most especially the Niger Delta youth, our people don't really need much.
They don't ask for too much.
They really need much. With the time of my engagement with the Niger Delta youth, I came to also realize, a Niger Delta person, that they don't really need much. What they want is that if you promise them, fulfill that promise.
Just fulfill it.
Fulfill it. When you can fulfill it, anytime you want to talk to them, they will give you the opportunity to communicate with them, interact with them. And if you look at what is going on now, that is why I was also talking about the organization. That this organization, Niger Delta Progressive Youth Leadership Foundation, is a brain behind to lay a proper foundation for the youth of the Niger Delta. Because if you want, everybody cannot be a leader.
Of course.
Some will be a leader to direct the followers. And you to be a leader, you must also be committed to what you think is the best for the people. And your yes should be yes, and your no should be no. And let your people identify you for what you stand. Because when you tell them A, tomorrow they see B. How will you be able to govern them? You can't.
And you know the Niger Delta.
And our Niger Delta people, when people say they are so problematic, Niger Delta people are not problematic.
Tell me about it. You know Niger Delta.
They are not problematic.
Tell me.
Niger Delta people believe in justice and fairness and tranquility. That's the truth about it.
Okay.
If their share is be given to them,
they don't have an issue with you, right?
But when they know this thing belongs to them, you are taking it away, and you want to give them some words of, in fact, giving them words that is not real, they will react.
Right, and so that's what's been going on.
Look at it now. Look at how the former president, late President Musa Yar'Adua, he first of all showed commitment, he showed dedication for what he want to do. And the people of Niger Delta look at the body language of the president of Musa Yar'Adua, and he said, "This is what you want to do." He set up a amnesty implementation committee to go around to all the villages and to communicate to our brothers who were carrying arms against the federal government. You understand? But even at that, the people also committed that the body language of Mr. President then, late President Musa Yar'Adua, is ready to bring peace. Today, are we not enjoying the peace?
Of course
we're enjoying the peace. This man with the God-given wisdom brought out the ideas of presidential amnesty program. And the people look at it and they buy the ideas. The critical stakeholders buy the ideas and everybody was involved. And they go to the creek and talk to the people. Look, this is not the way to operate. Your demand has been known by the president. So what to do? Please, it is time to drop your ammunition. It is time to accept peace. It is time to protect your environment. And at the end, the people agree, and that was what led to the Presidential Amnesty Implementation Committee. And they put everything together. Today, we are talking about peace. The peace the Niger Delta people enjoying, the Nigeria at last is enjoying, is because of this Presidential Amnesty Program. Because everybody agreed unanimously to drop their ammunitions. After dropping the ammunition, federal government also fulfilling their part, which shows that we also commend the federal government for fulfilling their part for the program. Because a lot of people who are being graduated under this Presidential Amnesty Program, if not because of this Presidential Amnesty Program, a lot of our youth will have not have the ideas. You understand? We don't even have the access to education. But today, government has made it possible through the instrumentality of the Presidential Amnesty Program to enlist 30,000 persons who accepted the program. And I can tell you vividly that the amnesty program has successfully graduated a lot of Niger Delta youth.
Right.
Some of them are lawyers, some of them are administrators, some of them are diplomats, some of them are nurse, doctors, you know, different areas of specialization. Some of them are go through the training, vocational training, oil and gas, fitter, in fact, crane operators, water, warding, angle warding, a lot of things. But that to tell you that government has also done very well. And they need to put more. Is done because what is there is that the genesis of the agitation from the Niger Delta was inclusiveness. The youth said they need employment. The youth said they need human capacity building. And that was where Yar'Adua said, okay, you put up your hand and I will be able to give you the opportunity. Today, we have seen the positive impact of that Yar'Adua ideas of the Presidential Amnesty Program. And thank God at the end, other succeeding presidents also sustained the program. Like Ahmed Bola Tinubu also sustained it, and the former President Mohamed Buhari also sustained it, because all of them are seeing the productive result of the program.
Well, while that is going on, I would like you to address a summit that's coming up shortly. That's on the 1st of November, talking about gathering youth leaders, youth stakeholders across all senatorial districts. You say for a peace summit. What do you hope to achieve by having everybody come and, you know, once again talk? And remember, Nigerians are so tired. Young people are tired of talk. What's going to be different? What is going to be different about this summit come 1st of November?
You know, you see, that's why I said our people don't need much. What our people need is engagement.
Make you talk and
make you talk and you do it.
Right.
And don't use political terms to betray the trust.
Nuances. You know how you politicians are.
If you look very well now, this Niger Delta Youth Peace Summit 2024 going to take place in Port Harcourt 1st of November. 1st of November. And you see, the essence of this summit is about peace. What we need as a country all over the world, peace is what everybody needs.
True.
Because peace is priceless. There is no amount of money you spend to build peace that you can count for. Peace is priceless.
That's true.
Because if you look very well now, the reason why we are calling for this Niger Delta Youth Peace Summit in Port Harcourt, and this summit cut across all the 9 states I've mentioned earlier, they are all participating. And if you look very well, this Niger Delta Progressive Youth Leadership Foundation was ideas behind me. When I was in university days at Ibadan, so I came to realize that the Southwest people always have seminar this, program this, event this, and all of these things. Just, you know, they are all talk show, engaging their people, enlightening their people of this what to do, this not what to do, because people think differently. And from there I got some that, you know, as Niger Delta people, what we need is to have an umbrella body that is going to galvanize everybody together, irrespective of your language, your community, irrespective of your family background, irrespective of your religious belief. But the most important thing that we have a place called region, which is the Niger Delta region. So at the end of this summit, every ethnic nationality is involved. Right. Everybody is going to identify what is the problem.
What is it you're even asking? What is it that is your problem?
Problem in Akwa Ibom.
You mean
the Akwa youth?
Right. Is it going to be state the youth participants in the state that will come have this? Because I know there are peculiarities. I come from a certain part of Cross River State. The issues I have from the side of Cross River that I come from is not the issues that people in the Northern Senatorial District have, or other parts of the state. So is it going to be collective complaints that says, you know what, this is it for my state?
That is what we are saying. If you look at what is going on now, what we are prepared to do now is inclusiveness. For instance, in Cross River, where you come from, for instance, now we have 3 senatorial districts in Cross River.
Right.
And for us to reach out to all of those 3 senatorial districts, each of the 3 senatorial districts have 3 delegates as an executive from state chapter. So that those 3 persons are representing the local government area that made up of that senatorial district. You understand? And when we are coming for this summit, each of the representatives from state chapters are coming up with their research work.
Right. Having well researched.
Yes, proper research work. What is happening in social community? Because this is called grassroots development agenda, whereby, because everybody who are executive from state chapter level to national level, they are all indices from the Niger Delta region.
Right.
And that is why we must come to a roundtable discussion to identify our problem. A problem that cannot be identified cannot be solved. You can't get answer to that problem. And a problem that we refuse to solve today is the problem of tomorrow.
Exactly.
So what do? I always say that nobody can give us development. Like what Aruni said, Africa, Europe underdeveloped Africa.
How you
so some of us will disagree with that concept.
You read that book as well.
No, I disagree with that concept, because how will you say Europe underdeveloped Africa?
Is Africans are developed Africans?
There is Africans. Africans underdeveloped Africans.
Okay.
That is my own concept.
And we have it within our hands to
because
develop
if you look at it now, I cannot come to your house and then tell you what to do.
Right.
Then you don't know what you are doing. If you don't know what you are doing as a stranger, you are the one that's supposed to tell me what to do.
Right.
Which means, how will you say Europe people come from far away to say they underdevelop our own place?
Okay.
And when we know that the resources is in our backyard, everything we have within us, we have the governors from the state. Right. Is it Europe that is governing our state? If the president of the country is in Africa, the senators are Africans, the House of Members are Africans.
So do we still have it within us to develop our country?
The development is in our hand, not Europeans. If we have lack of development, it is the cause of Africans. Today now, if my community is underdeveloped, it is the cause of my community people.
It's not Europeans.
It's not Europeans. That is truth about it.
Right.
Because when you look at the federal system of government we are operating today, each of the state has 3 senators in the lawmakers. Is not so?
True.
And the senators are there in the National Assembly. Are they Europe?
They are not Europeans. No, they are not Europeans.
They are not Eastern Europeans or Western Europeans.
Okay, because I really do not want to get too much into this conversation and lose our line of thought. We are running out of time, so I'd like you to know. Some people are watching us right now and are wondering. This looks like a noble cause. So how can they participate in this upcoming summit? How can they be part of what you do, especially those watching us from the Niger Delta region?
Yeah, this program is for every Niger Delta citizens. We did not segregate.
Right.
That's why it is titled Niger Delta
Youth
Peace Summit.
Right.
It's specifically for youth because most of the violence and conflict, disagreement we're talking about emanated from the youth.
Right.
So if the youth can organize themselves, have a program, a seminar in terms of symposium to discuss about what is affecting them in their communities, in their villages, then there is tomorrow. When people say youth are leaders of tomorrow, where is that tomorrow?
Right.
So the tomorrow is we.
Never comes.
Today is the tomorrow. So what you cannot complete today,
do not
that is the tomorrow.
To tomorrow.
So we must complete it now, so that our tomorrow will not be accusing one another that we have this, we don't have this.
Or looking forward to another tomorrow.
So the summit is all about to make sure that one, to unite our people.
Right.
We need unity as Niger Deltas. 2, we need to have a proper engagement within ourselves to cross-check ourselves and also to identify our problems as the youth from the Niger Delta region, irrespective of your tribe.
You have just a minute.
So I'm taught to say that this youth summit, peace summit, is for the purpose of bringing our people together and at the same time identify our problems, then also have what is called, at the end of the summit, we're going to have a position paper. That this is what we are facing. Akwa Ibom, this is the problem we identify in Akwa Ibom. And this is the problem we identify in the United States. Then we now have one document to cover it up. Then all state governors will be engaging them, engaging local government chairmen, engaging state house of assembly members, and the national assembly members. So that by so doing, they also know that youth are prepared.
Right. It's not just
sitting at the end of the day you close up, nothing to show. This one is a program that at the end of the day there must be a direction that this is what we are doing.
Well, Chief Diplomats, Comrade Adam Ogomugo Marbo, thank you so much for being part of the program. It's been an interesting one, talking about the youth in the Niger Delta and how to achieve peace. But we have come to the end of today's edition of the program. We've had the conversation with the head of peace building and conflict resolution, that's stakeholders unit of the Presidential Amnesty Program. I hope you too would be part of that program, because I would be live there. For more information, you can always reach us on the phone numbers we earlier posted. And remember to follow us on our social media platforms at Joy Asonye Live. But for today, have a wonderful weekend, as we'll be back next week to continue this very informative program. Have a wonderful day.